Fantastic. We're live. We're live on the interweb, everybody. Is this good? Welcome, everybody. Welcome to the Printiverse, Print Media Center, to our first official panel of the show. So thank you, everybody, all of our panelists, for joining us today. As you can see, the title of this panel is Living Large, Penthouse Possibilities with Wide Format. And wide format is a very topical subject amongst printers and the community that we interact with. There's so many avenues for different revenue channels, for different markets that you can get into with wide format, that I felt that this topic was very important. And we speak about it often at Print Chat, which is a weekly chat on Twitter, that I host on Wednesdays from 4 to 5 p.m. Eastern Time. So we're going to start off with asking everybody to briefly introduce themselves, tell everybody a little bit about what they do, and tell us about the conversations that you're having about wide format over in your booth. So we'll start with Rico. Go ahead, introduce yourself. You just pull the mic off if you don't mind. Thank you so much.
Hi, my name is Rich Farmer. I'm the director of wide format at Rico, and excited to be talking to y'all today. Some of the conversations that we're having is commercial printers are looking to expand their revenue potential, and not only their revenue potential, but also margins on the work that they're doing. And wide format offers that opportunity to the printers, and we at Rico try to help the printers and other companies maximize either their profitability or their savings, depending if they're talking about bringing things in-house.
I'm Tom Wittenberg with HP. I'm the large format marketing manager for sign and display, mainly focused on the latex technology. As what we're seeing in our booth are the commercial printers saying, tell me about wide format. Why do I want to get into large format? Very similar conversations to what we just discussed. And then there's a lot of discussion around what are the markets, where are things growing, what are some of the new media and the new products that are coming out that are going to help us to grow.
Thank you. My name is Steve Feldman. I am the Director of Product Management at Avante Systems. We do print MIS, and one of the things that we really help wide format print shops be able to do is to make things better, faster, and cheaper. And we do that by providing them a lot of standards, whether it be estimating standards, substrate standards. We really help them really understand the business that they're selling so that they can manage their costs better, be more effective, more responsive to their customers, and be able to provide them a wide variety of services that help them grow their business.
Hello everyone, my name is Randy Parr. I'm the marketing manager for Canon Solutions America, and I'm responsible for the wide format products. And what's exciting about this panel discussion today, it's the old technologies and the new technologies and how that transition can turn into profitability for commercial printers. So I'm happy to be here and happy to take your questions.
Thanks. Hello, I'm Brian Phipps. I'm the president of Muto America, and what we're talking about in our booth here is about how to get into the wide format business and why it's important and how can you make money and all of those good things. So we've got that to offer. Muto manufactures 21 different printers that are available, and from $6,000 to $60,000, so we've got just about any type that somebody would want to get into, whether it's eco-solvent, whether it's UV LED, or dye sublimation, or direct-to-textile. We've got a wide breadth, so if someone is interested in growing their business, getting into wide format, getting into new applications, we've got a lot to offer.
Good afternoon, I'm Mary Ann Gears. I'm the Senior Vice President of Corporate Strategy for GPA Specialty Substrates. We are actually the substrate provider for all the different equipment that they just talked about here. The conversations that we're having at our booth with our commercial printing customers are really understanding what their markets are, talking with them about where the growing segments are within those markets, and then what are the proper applications within those markets. And then we take that all the way down to the substrates and work with them direct, project per project. Thank you, Deborah.
Thank you guys so much, and really, thank you for joining us. It makes me really happy when the really good people come to talk to us and talk to the people at home, and I think it really shows that you guys want to be involved with the community, so these are the companies to reach out to. They obviously want to talk to you, because they wouldn't be here if they weren't. So let me start off by, we'll actually come back the other way if you don't mind. We'll start with Mary Ann. Why is wide format a growth market, and how far beyond banner printing has the wide format technology gone? And what vertical markets can wide format open for printers?
So that's 3 questions, Deborah, so I'll try to get to those. So why is wide format growing? From our perspective, we believe that the commercial printers are looking for new substrates to print on, and frankly, the offset printing technology really has them limited. In the wide format marketplace, we see it allows them to print bigger and allow to print more substrates. It's very, very unique. So as far as growth markets that we're seeing, as our customers play, retail POP continues to grow. The nice thing that we see with the wide format is the ability to do those large-scale windows all across the U.S. and the large-scale displays, and so that equipment will allow them to enhance what they have with their big offset presses with the wide format. The other avenues that we're seeing is, believe it or not, decor, not only in the retail environment but the home. I know there's several software suppliers here that can talk a little bit about some of the things that are available in the marketplace. And then as far as media that we're seeing, the printers really want to grow their revenue streams and their margin levels, so we're trying to focus on very unique substrates with very unique applications. I'm sure we'll talk a little bit more about what those are, but there's a lot going on, so we see it as a really fast-paced, growing market for us.
Thanks so much. Brian?
So, is it just me that has the buzzing sound? All right. So right now is an exciting time to get into wide format. It's never been better than it has been today. And the reason for that is the machines are getting faster, they're getting higher quality. Is that me?
It's you for some reason. Do you have like metal plate in your head or something?
My forehead when I was a kid. So the technology is getting better, the quality is getting better, and what's really driving things is the ink technology. There's more variety now, and it works better than ever. And then the substrates. You can now have substrates for doing anything, just about anything. We're printing on anything from a surfboard all the way to soft signage, to banners, posters, car wraps. Really, it's up to your imagination what you can do with the different technologies that are available in wide format. So if someone's looking to grow, which we all are, of course, and you're kind of getting you're flattening out your growth, there's no better way than to look at some of these wide format printers and applications to take to your existing customers. Your existing customers need this product. If you're selling them certain commercial products, and they also need car wraps, and they also need banners and grand opening and soft signage and specialty items, whether it's printing on pens or different little things to give away in your booth, all of that can be done with wide format and inkjet technology today, and at a very low cost. When these commercial printers come to our booth, they go, "That's it? That's all it costs? I can do all this with this amount of money?" So it's really a great opportunity for people to be looking at right now.
Thanks, Brian. Randy.
Yes. Growth of wide format. Well, definitely for commercial printers, I think there's one simple answer: profitability. When you think about going back to what I said about old technology, new technology, commercial print, offset printing has been around a very long time before digital existed. So what you see, obviously, when you're in an established old business like that is commoditization. So margins keep decreasing year after year. Wide format is an excellent opportunity to put profitability and growth back into your business. And just even relying on your existing clientele, there's already a customer base that you can leverage. And the types of verticals or the types of applications are astounding. I like to say that you can buy a printer from anyone, but what you do with it really determines if you're going to be successful or not. So at Canon, we've realized that, okay, if we can show people different things they can do that are high margin, like whether it's stained glass or wallpaper or even furniture, all of a sudden now they're not thinking about just printing cut sheet for pennies a sheet. They're making dollars a square foot. And it's almost like they look at you funny, like you're making stuff up, but it's very true. And when you look at our established wide format customers, they're doing this day in, day out. And shame on them if they're just printing banners, because they're missing a great opportunity and they're on the downward spiral. So I really encourage everyone that's entering wide format to look at the possibilities. And it becomes not just so much that you're a graphics provider, but you can even become a manufacturer where you're applying with digital equipment, you're applying graphics to an object and then finishing it with a digital finishing system. So now you're making manufactured goods. And what a great way to diversify your business.
Thanks so much. Steve?
Thank you. From the standpoint of a software vendor, we have been doing a lot of work with a variety of our customers who are in the grand format, large format, wide format marketplaces. And one of the things that they really loved about what they need to be able to do is to manage margins and costs and profitability. And one of the things that we hear often from them is they have a variety of different technologies on their shop floor. And they want to know, how do I optimize my business for the type of work that my customers are asking me to do? So by providing standards, whether it be estimating standards for different types of hardware, that they can say, compare which is my optimal press that's going to give me the most amount of money for the amount of time that I have to deliver that job, to doing other things such as being able to determine what the best substrate is for the job and the costs associated with that. So if they're more aware of what is costing them in their business for every step of the way, they're able to provide a greater flexibility and speed to market for their customers and be able to turn around estimates much quicker, being able to order what it is that they need within their inventory, whether it be cut sheet or rolls, for the type of business that they need to do, and be able to optimize their buying process as well. And these are all the things that we're hearing that they're struggling with that we can definitely help them.
And before Tom used to talk, I just want to say that it's going to come up a lot in other panels that when printers need to integrate more than one technology with each other in their shops, it's companies like yours that really help them do that and make everything run. So and you're not going to get to say a chance on some of the other panels, so I just wanted to point that out, that it's very, very topical that people have these solutions to make things that talk to each other. And actually HP has a new one, HPOS, but we're not here to talk about that. Tom, you?
Yeah, I would agree that profitability and margin are very attractive to the commercial buyer. I think I'll talk about the other side of the coin and the end user and what they're coming across and they're asking for. They're looking because it's known that a retailer customer has less than 7 seconds to attract a buyer. And how do they do that? They're looking for, what is the impact? How do I make an impact, and how do I get that customer attracted to me? 70% of large format signage is responsible at some level for a purchase. So I always like to think of it, I heard an expression a couple years ago, when it's bigger than you and you're smaller than it, you feel its power. So large format, as you go larger, has a tremendous power on the buyer and an impact. It helps them stand out. It helps them pull people into stores. The other thing is that a lot of the companies now are switching from mass marketing to my marketing. So they want it very specific to the demographics that they're seeing coming through their business. So that's another real big driver that now they're going back to the PSPs and asking them to provide.
By the way, I think I'm stealing mass marketing to me marketing, unless you guys have trademarked that already. Oh, it's mine. TM, mine. Damn you. Rika.
Again, what I'd like to do is just echo what my other esteemed colleagues are saying about higher margins, because that's, again, you know, my wife says I talk way too loud, so this is a surprise to me. Again, to echo and to reinforce what they're saying, commercial printers are looking for higher margin opportunities. I think the thing is, as he was just saying, these point of sale, point of purchase materials can elicit an emotional response, and it's not just from the image, it's also from the media that the printer is using. So there's a tactical feel and touch to different types of media that can get the customer involved and engaged with the store. The other thing that's driving this is it is much more environmentally friendly than it was in the past. Some of us up here have got solvent systems. Others of us have latex systems, which are extremely friendly, that can fit into different types of retail environments. So it opens up a couple of avenues from that standpoint. The other thing is, a smart commercial printer, when they're using software and they're using workflow software, they can apply their same business practices that they use in commercial printing successfully towards wide format printing. Okay, and without that software, without that workflow, they're kind of missing the boat. So this is kind of a piece of it's an important piece of the puzzle there. Automation. Automation via the software, via the systems, via RIPs, and also finishing automation. The one thing I don't see up here is a finishing group.
You're right.
And I think that that's a critical component when you're putting together a solution for a customer. Sometimes the finishing is just as important as the printing itself. So again, that's why things are happening, because cutters and routers are much easier to use. From a market standpoint, I think Randy's point about moving from signs and banners into actual manufacturing, unique things is critical, because it keeps you from becoming a commodity. There's a term that's been used for the past 5 years that really has caught a hold in the wide format industry, and that's called mass customization. We can produce things that are unique, but at a high speed and in a very low cost. Therefore, when it's unique, the margin on that is much higher than a sign, a real estate sign or something along those lines. Decor, furniture, textiles, that's just soft signage. You see the feather signs that are up here everywhere. Depending upon the application, you don't really have to jump into a die sub system. Now, if you need a die sub systems, there are people up here that represent them, and they're great products. But sometimes, if you're getting involved, kind of sticking your toe into the water via a latex system or something along those lines, you have the ability to get into that marketplace. So I think that's about.
Thank you. I appreciate that. And I just do want to address the point you made about the finishers. For me right now, my conversation is still trying to talk to people about getting into the market. So to me, the finishing is it's an important part of the conversation, but let's get them there first, and then let's, kind of see what all the possibilities are.
I agree with you. If I could just make one more point.
Please do.
In my experience, and I've got a lot of gray hair, so I've got a lot of experience, sometimes when we start engaging with the customer, we find that they really need the cutter before they need the printer.
Okay, that's a great point.
And it's just, again, it's a piece of the puzzle. Yeah. And again, I understand you got to walk before you run.
No, but you're absolutely right. I could not actually find a cutter on this floor.
And that's what was surprising to me. Now, last week,
I was looking for one yesterday.
They were everywhere last week. So again, it's just you want to do what's right for your commercial printer and give them the tools that they need, as opposed to just placing a box in there.
Okay, thank you very much. Okay, so actually this question is just for the manufacturers, but I'll get to the Avanti and GPA in a sec. So let's start with Brian. I've referred to some of the smaller wide format machines as the gateway drug to wide format. And so can you please tell us about your entry-level offerings in regard to the capabilities that they have and the services printers could offer with them, and the general time to profit for the investment?
Sure, I'd be happy to. So like I mentioned, we've got a wide variety ranging from 24-inch in size, which is over in our booth, 2475, all the way up to 100-inch width and flatbeds, hybrids, that kind of thing. So we have a variety, and to your point, a lot of people get the small printer to start out for $6,000. They see what they can do with it. The small printer will actually do everything that the big printers will do. It'll do everything that you can do either with our UV printer or EcoSolvent. And then as you grow and you find out that you need to do a 5-foot banner or something that's wider, a soft signage for a trade show graphics that's maybe 8 feet wide, then you outsource it. And then as you outsource it, you find, hey, wait, I can do this. And then you look to upgrade to a bigger printer, lower your costs because now you can do it in-house. You've got the upfront expense, of course, but then once you get the equipment, you can make more profit by doing it in-house. But you can start out by outsourcing it, so it's a good way to get in. But it definitely is a way to enter into the market with a smaller format printer. And I will tell you, at our booth, I tell people this all the time. They'll look at the small one, they'll say, well, I don't have a lot of demand, I just want to try it. And I said, that's fine, no problem. You can get this 24-inch or the 54-inch, but a lot of people that I see one year, the next year they come back and they say, oh, I wish I got the bigger one. I wish I would have listened to you. I wish I would have just paid that extra few hundred or few $1,000s and got the bigger one. And so I try to tell them those stories so they think about it twice and maybe spend the extra money, because typically once you have the equipment, people start asking for it. Oh, you can do that? Can you do 5 foot? Can you do 6 foot? Can you do 8 foot? Can you do other things? And then that's the gateway. Once they're in, they're in.
Thanks so much. And Randy, what do you consider, talk about the gateway machines you have for commercial printers?
Brian was kind of hinting at it, that size does matter. We've got two sizes. We got an 8 by 10 foot and a 4 by 8 foot. So there's a very big area to print. The nice thing is, because we have a stationary flatbed system, you can print smaller pieces on that 4 by 8 area, so you can lay out more small pieces and print them all at once. So, and I'm happy to announce that we have one printer. It's our entry-level product called the Arizona 365 GT. It's a 4 by 8. We are just this week, through our dealer channel, announcing a price of $100,000 all in. Now you might think, well, wow, that sounds like a lot of money. Well, when you consider the value, it's a 4 by 8, so you can do all that, multi-piece printing all at once, or a 4 by 8 sheet, so you're not limited. It's also 5 colors, so you have the ability of printing with white ink, which can be used for higher margin applications like backlights, right? Here's the nice thing. The productivity of it is 377 square feet per hour, which is equal to our new 1200 series printer that we just launched this year. So it represents exceptional value for customers to get into it. And we've seen ROIs where they print maybe a few hours a day, and it's very much application dependent. So however much you're making for that application really determines the payback, but we've seen that they can pay for their whole investment in a month or less. So when you take that to a commercial printer, once again, they kind of think you're lying to, because it sounds too good to be true, but it truly is.
Thanks. Tom?
For HP, last week we just introduced a new series, I'll call it. We had our 300 series, and now I'll call it the 3X5. So the 310, 330, 360 became the 315, the 335, and the 365. Some had upgrades more impactful than other parts of the portfolio on the low volume end. And then we also, earlier this year, had introduced our 500 series. Now, on the 300 series, that is as Deb says, truly the gateway. We've added embedded spectrophotometers, what we call our OMOS system, which is the optical media advanced sensor. This helps to prevent banding. That's now on all of our equipment. And we've also added in continuous print. So if you want to do multiple jobs, there's no stopping, waiting for the paper to advance, go back, etc. So it does help speed up the process so that you can deliver to the customers that much more quickly. The printers come on the low end 54 inches, and then everything else from the 335 on up is 64 inches. We also have our two flatbeds, the 550, it's 64 inch, and the 750 at 98 inch. Those are hybrid units, so they can do both flatbed and roll-to-roll products. One last thing that I wanted to bring up too that is, I'll say it's a bit of a sleeper for us, but it's, as we're finding out, a lot more useful than what we had originally anticipated, and it's the HP mobile app. And it monitors the conditions on the printer and will send a signal to your phone to tell you if there's low on ink or when the job is done, et cetera, so that you can have actually one operator manning more than one unit and still be aware of exactly what's going on. We've actually even had people leave the office and go out to lunch, and if there is an issue, they can come back. So it helps to make the business that much more productive. Finally, in terms of the ROIs, just like the others, yeah, we're seeing people that have very fast ROIs. It can be less than a month. You know, sometimes depending on what they're doing and what they're charging, it can be a little bit longer than that, sometimes over 6 months. But really, we try and keep it in that, you know, with helping them in that 1 to 6 month period.
Thanks so much.
You know, you were talking about the mobile app, and I'm kind of looking for a mobile app that you can go off to lunch and not come back. So as soon as that's ready. But no, I think, not to sound like a political candidate, but it all depends on what your definition of wide format is, because there's a wide variety of different types of solutions. We have solutions that handle both AEC type work as well as low-end posters that may start at $3,000 or $4,000. And then we have systems that, latex systems that are a little bit more industrial in strength, more robust from that standpoint. And then, as Randy was mentioning, flatbed, so that you have the ability, a commercial printer would have the ability to print directly onto a rigid substrate. I think, Randy, you said yours was $100,000, right, at $100,000 all in. Ours is $100,000 all in. So it's a nice solution from that standpoint. So again, I don't remember who mentioned this, but when you're talking with a commercial printer, and you walk them through their business, they're giving you the numbers. They're giving you their volume. They've done their survey. And when you show them and let them put all their numbers in and show them the formula, and you have a ROI of 2 to 3 months, it gets their attention.
Yeah.
So it's...
You just got my attention, by the way. I was like, what?
Yeah, so it's just an exciting opportunity, and again, entry level is all based upon what your needs are.
Okay, thank you so much. So, Marianne, one of our print chat friends, Renee Berger from Western States Envelope and Label, wanted to know more about the substrate options that work with the wide format machines, and are there any ink restrictions, as far as you know, on certain substrates?
So thank you, Renee, for the question. There are a lot of different products across the board. Some specific things that I can think about. For example, UV inks do not work very well for car wraps. That's one of the big things that we'd like to talk about. The inks are more brittle. When you think about the curves and the fenders on a car and you want to wrap that ink around it, we really recommend a latex solution for that. It really depends upon the application, indoor or outdoor, rigid substrate or not. So it's wide, but in general, the one that I can think of the most is the auto wrap.
And GPA has just kind of moved into the wide format space.
That's correct, yeah.
So why don't you tell everybody a little bit about why you made that decision and what products you have that can help them? Because that's what we're really talking about today. We're trying to give the people at home and the people in the booth here and the people at the show information about the tools they need to be the most successful they possibly can be.
Thank you, Deborah. So GPA has been a player for many years in the sheet fed offset business, in the specialty side. So not only the pressure-sensitive labels and vinyls, but also the sheet-fed plastics. We had a great opportunity over 10 years ago to partner with Hewlett-Packard in their Indigo line, and along with the HP Indigo, we also provide specialty media for the dry toner marketplace. Well, along the way, as our customers have been diversifying their equipment and adding more, they've been trying to cross-platform their media. So they might go into a big retail store, use their 40-inch offset press, for example, to do all the signage package. Oh, by the way, they've got to do something in French Canadian, so they need their smaller format printers or a wide format. So what we've been trying to do, it's actually by our customers, is provide them the same media all across the board, no matter what the platform is. And I believe it was my market and mass market.
Yeah.
So our media has to work across both. And give the commercial printer a really good avenue. Some of the cool things that we're seeing right now, if you guys notice, nobody wants to get out of their cars anymore and shop. I just was in a local branded pharmacy, and I saw that they had an online, or a wait out front curbside pickup for my prescriptions, I guess. I'm not sure what I'm going to do there.
Like Chili's, like you just drive up and they bring it to your car?
Right,
Wow.
and grocery stores. So think about that. We're trying to get people into the stores. We talked a little bit about that 7 seconds where they're making that brand decision, and now we can't get them in the stores. So we've got a couple of really unique products out on the market. One is a product called Illumographics. You can come to our booth and see it. This is a product that can be used outdoors on asphalt or cement, which is very rare. There's not a lot of substrates that will take that traffic. It will use UV, latex, or eco-solvent inks. And so if you're sitting in your car and the only thing you're looking at is your dashboard, waiting for the guy to bring your groceries out, what better avenue than to have something on the sidewalk? There's always the ramp where everybody comes into the store, everybody sees that. Illumographics also has a version that works on walls. So think about the stucco, the cement, the brick wall on the outside. So this is one of our hot products, and as we talk to the brand managers and the designers, it's how do you get them or get that brand experience when they don't want to go to the store. The other is, if you did floor graphics, which are very big for wide format and offset press, they're only going to see that advertisement if they go down that floor. So if I'm not buying detergent, I'm not going to see the little graphic of the pod in the sale unless I'm down the detergent aisle. So how do you get them? Again, exterior of the store, get them in there, drive them to your brand, and then let them choose in that 7 or 8 seconds while they're there.
Thank you so much. So this question is for Avanti. We've talked about people having to learn how to integrate different substrates into their workflow, but the truth is that the workflow is the heart of the shop. So how is Avanti helping those entry-level printers make that transition and make their processes smooth?
Thanks for the question, Deb. At Avanti, what we've done is we've tried to work very hard with a lot of companies to standardize the whole workflow process. So from the standpoint of estimating, you have the ability to be able to allow the software to be able to understand your shop, what types of systems you have, the substrates, and what is it you carry in stock, and what is it that might be special order. So when you're quoting or preparing a particular estimate for a customer, you have the ability to bring up all your machinery right online to be able to say, okay, if this is a cost for this particular system, it's an offset, or a digital, or a hybrid, or a wide format, whatever the systems you have in place, so you have that ability to be able to expand and extend out what the best cost option is for you, as well as maximize the margin depending upon the complexity of the job and the customization of the job as well. As you work through the workflow, we have various integrations to other systems, and through our JDF certification, it gives us the ability to be able to pass seamlessly information from one area to another within the system, be able to get information back from the hardware and bring it into the system to know things like timing, what's going on in the shop floor, what labor is being used, and be able to use that historically to be able to then do predictive analysis for what future costs might be for similar oriented jobs. One of the things that we also heard ad nauseum from several customers is getting information on substrates is very, very difficult. When they go to a particular vendor and say, well, I want to get some specifics on things like your GSM, your weight, and other particulars around the substrate, that information is very, very difficult to come by because certain vendors do not want to divulge that, for they fear that you're going to go to somebody else or going to go comparison shopping. So we provide a system that gives that information standardized right within, so that as you're preparing your estimates, in the substrates you have available, you've got very detailed costing, and you can cost that down to the penny as to what that job is going to cost you, and then be able to do, copy that particular job for a future job and say, hey, we know what it cost you the last time. We can very quickly get that product to you and have a very quick turnaround. One last note I just want to also highlight is within our system, it's the same workflow, whether you're doing a grand format, wide format, hybrid, digital offset press, it doesn't really matter. It's the same set of steps that you're going through. So a company that might already be on, let's say, a digital today and is looking to go to wide format, it's not a brand new learning curve that they have to undertake. So as they start to go into new markets for themselves, it's the same system that's already extendable into that market for the type of additional revenue that they might want to get.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. So I was at a show last week, actually, and there was a big talking points from a lot of the manufacturers about a move from eco-solvent to latex. And I wanted to know, is that a trend, and where do you stand on this? It's very interesting to me. Let's start with Rico.
Yes, it is a trend, and yes, we are very much we understand the importance behind environmentally friendly types of inks, and Rico being a environmentally conscious company, we offer a solution that provides a customer a latex option. So latex is, again, very environmentally friendly. It's from a retail standpoint. Some of these commercial printers are in different types of buildings. They don't have to worry about any sort of venting or anything like that. We've just introduced some a next generation of AR inks, and it's just increased the production of the equipment. So I would say latex is here to stay.
Thank you. Tom, can you, before you give that answer, can you explain the difference between the two? Because I'm not really sure.
I'll say in general, with latex, it's a latex polymer, usually in an aqueous solution, where you've got eco-solvent is going to be in a solvent or some type of solvent solution.
Okay.
The difference there is going to be, any hazardous air pollutants, hazardous materials, flammability that the eco-solvent has versus the latex. So that's one of the drivers there. Just kind of playing along on the environmental side, there's a couple things that I wanted to bring up. One, I did not know this until much earlier this year, but there is a certification out there called Green Guard Gold. And all of us in the community talk about Green Guard Gold, and we have Green Guard Gold. What I didn't realize is that there are actually 3 different levels of Green Guard Gold. And the certification is done based on the amount of gas given off. I believe it's in a 14-hour period. And you qualify for one of the 3 levels. And those levels are signage, which means that you can claim Green Guard Gold up to about 32 square feet in retail space, on office building, etc. There's one called a decorative wall, which is the next level up, and it allows you to do one wall of a given size within an office or a classroom. And then there's wallpaper, which would allow you to do all 4 walls and claim the certification at that level. So it's one thing to say Green Guard Gold, but if you have a printer, know what your levels are, because that is important in your ability to sell, especially when you're being asked about environmentally friendly. The other thing that came up last week was we heard in terms of the latex and the eco-solvent, and getting to why it is really, the latex side anyway, is really starting to take off. A gentleman told us that he did have a solvent printer, and he went to get life insurance, and he could not. He had liver enzymes that were off the charts. He went and switched over to latex, and within 2 months, he qualified based on his blood tests for the life insurance. So I know we're going to be following up on that story here very shortly. So.
Thank you. And let's skip to Randy Cannon.
Hi. Yes, the trend from solvent or eco-solvent to latex, we've seen that, and latex has become very popular. Environmentally, though, I've always had the question, with all the water as the carrier for the pigment, you have to still use a lot of energy to evaporate that compared to solvent, which naturally uses a lot less energy. So I think you have to look at that in the bigger picture as well. But as far as a trend, if you were at that show a couple weeks ago or last week, Canon announced something that is totally new, our own trend called UV gel, which promises to give positive results that eco-solvent and latex and UV bring to the market, but combine all those in a revolutionary new technology that you'll see next spring. So I think that's really something that you should look for. It prints 2 to 5 times faster than products that are out there today, reduces your operating costs considerably, and the look and feel is amazing. It's flat like solvent. It has no smell at all. So Green Guard, we expect that should be no problem when we actually start shipping the product. So yeah, it's an exciting time technology-wise.
Thanks so much, Randy. Muto, and then we're going to take some questions from the home people.
Okay, so at Muto, we're a 60-year-old company and we're global. I run the Americas, and we look at all the different inks on the market. And some of the driving, if you look at some of the driving factors of what's happening out there, we've tested and we look at all the different types of inks out there, and application is driving it. So there's, if you want to print on something that's rigid or flexible or all of those types of things, you're going to want to choose the right ink. Environmentally friendly is driving it. So if you want something that's more environmentally friendly, you're gonna look towards something that's safe for the environment. And again, UV inks, latex, eco-solvent with very low solvent, all of those are things that you'll probably look for and is what's driving. Eco-solvent is by far the largest amount of ink being sold in anything that's going outdoors. So that's the biggest part of the market. Latex is up and coming. So you're seeing a couple of vendors here. Some of the reasons for that, for example, is printhead technology. There's 2 main types of printhead technology. There's piezo head technology, which is what we use, is a small crystal that vibrates to shoot the ink out. And there's thermal head technology, which uses a heat. It heats it up and it shoots out the ink. Some printhead technologies, you cannot run certain types of ink in. You can't run eco-solvent or solvent inks in certain types of head, like a thermal head. So that limits those companies on what they can put through it. Therefore, they're going to put all of their marketing behind a certain technology that does work in their ink. So they're going to be a driving force for that particular type of technology. So I suggest, as a consumer and as somebody getting into this, is that you research what is it that you want to do, where do you want to go, what do you want to offer to your customers, and then talk to experts at a show like this and at the Printerverse, and you find out what is it the ink that works best. we've tested a lot of inks, and we still find that our eco-solvent is more vibrant, has a larger color gamut, more stretchable. There's a lot of reasons, from scratchability and outdoor durability, all of those things that you may want to look at if you're going to get into, say, car wraps or something like that. So do your research, and there's no better place to do it than at a show like this.
Thank you, and I totally agree, and I want to thank everybody for answering that question. Honestly, that was really cool, and because it is a conversation that is happening in the community, and people need to understand what the difference is. Sandy has been manning our live stream and social media. Sandy Hubbard, everyone, yay! So she has a question or two. We have about 5-6 minutes left, so.
And just to remind you, even though I'm asking the questions, it's our folks at home who want to know the answers, so just look at the camera. Our first question is from an offset printing company. They said, at this point in the game with digital, can offset printers and screen printers who are using traditional technology enter, or will they have too steep of a learning curve?
Surprisingly not, considering they're probably doing some sort of color management. They're probably using some sort of RIP software right now. They're probably used to meeting deadlines with their customers and fulfillment of shipping it, installing it. So really, they just have to adapt themselves. They might need to learn some new terminology, some new substrates, a little bit of printer-esque sort of terminology. But really, it's not as big of a learning curve as they think.
I was just going to say that what adds to that is the fact that the systems are much more automated than they were in the past. So the learning curve has shortened quite a bit, and the return on investment curve is quite significant. So that's driving that.
Thanks. I'm glad you mentioned color matching, because that was one of the comments they were concerned about. So thank you. Second question is from a digital label company. And they wanted to know, is the equipment modular, or does it tend to be modular? Can they do inline die cutting like they're used to in their own facilities? And what kind of floor space does it require?
I'll go. Yeah, so the equipment itself isn't modular, but there's different pieces of equipment that you're going to need. So in a sense it is. You're going to have, for example, to your last question, there's a lot of training available these days that didn't exist before. If you want to get into car wrapping, we do tons of car wrapping classes. There's lots of classes on how to do different types of applications in dye sublimation or UV printing. Or there's more training available today than there ever was, so getting into it is easy. As far as the equipment, then of course you need to do your research, but to do certain applications, say a car wrap, you're going to need a laminator, you're going to need the right media, you're going to need a cutter, which we have one in our booth at $24.75. You want to see a cutter, printers. So there is a number of pieces of equipment. You need the right software to integrate it all, and that's somewhere somebody like a company like one of ours is going to be able to help you with, and it isn't that difficult to get into.
Thanks. Anybody else want to answer that one? No? Okay, we're good. Here's the thing. The reason that this panel is here is because they want to talk to you. They want to teach you things. They want to have conversations with you. So if you're at the show, visit them. If you're at home, check out their websites, follow them on social media. They're all on social media. I'm proud to say all of the Alliance this year is finally on social media. So thank you, everybody, for engaging with the community, and thank you for your time. I know you're all busy. It's been a great panel. We'll be back in about another 15 minutes with the next one, which I forget what it is, but it's going to be, it's Xerox. OB Want a Job, The Workforce Awakens. That's our next panel. We're going to talk about career opportunities in graphic arts. That's our next one, or is it the Xerox Case Study Cafe? Xerox Case Study Cafe. Okay, that wasn't me, Xerox. Okay, I was thinking, I was like, I'm getting a little, it's coffee time. Next, Xerox Case Study Cafe, Shelley Sweeney, one of my favorite presenters in the world, is going to grace us with her presence, so please join us. Thank you guys so much, I really appreciate it. Have a great day, have a great show, and I'll see some of you again.
All right, sounds good.
Thank you very much. Randy, thanks for jumping in.
Thank you.
Brian, awesome.
Thanks,
You're the best.
See you, Randy.
Thanks so much.
Thanks for the invite.
Thank you. you guys so much. Seriously, that was great.
Hello, how you doing?
Good, how are you?
I'm your audiovisual assistant.